Hailing frequencies open, and welcome back to Star Trek Discoverage, the live podcast that boldly goes into excruciating detail about this week's episode of Star Trek Discovery. I'm your host, Aaron Coker, aka Caliban, and handsome and erudite is okay. But what about brainy and bangin'? Joining me on the show as usual is my co-host. She's also the co-host of the Generations Geek podcast, a more or less family-friendly celebration of geekdom. It's Ella Pearson. Ella, welcome back to Discoverage.
Thank you.
Ella, it's great to be back with you. How was your week this week?
Busy.
Busy? Busy as usual? Normal?
I have a generally pretty laid-back job. And I work from home, so there's an inherent amount of goofing off that's usually involved.
Sure.
That was not involved this week.
Oh, okay.
I had to speak at a big meeting.
Oh.
Whole thing.
Zoom
Whole
meeting
thing.
or in person?
Zoom meeting.
Okay. Yeah.
No, we don't. My boss, the boss of my department,
Yeah.
she does not mess around with having us come in the office.
That's good. That's good.
Keeps us at home. It is.
Sounds kind of like Commander Rayner, who's just like, yeah, all right, fine. Yeah, just come on in.
Yeah. She does not let us. One time the dean was like, everyone should come in, or I don't know if it was the dean, it was somebody else. And she was like, we won't be doing that.
No,
we
thank
actually won't be
you.
doing that. We'll
I
actually
wanna
be staying at home.
See little heads on my screen, and I can go boop, boop,
Yeah.
boop, boop, boop. Yeah.
So
Well,
in this very empty office this morning.
that's interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I work from home, but I work by myself mostly. And then even when I was working, I mean, I guess I interview people on Zoom for the podcast, but I've never really done like work, office work on the online. I was out of the office before the rise of Zoom and all that. So when you say meeting, it's like, oh yeah, I guess that could just mean giving a speech during a meeting or giving a speech during a Zoom thing, and it's all the same these days.
You know what's crazy? I've never worked in the office because
Oh, yeah?
I was hired in 2020. I graduated in 2020. Yeah.
Sure. Well,
So,
that's that later millennial lifestyle. Would you consider yourself a late millennial or an early
I'm
Zoomer?
a cusp.
Cusp?
Because late 97 cusp.
Sure.
I fight for my life to beat the
Yeah.
millennial allegations. It doesn't always work.
So you have a choice. You could say, no, I'm a Zoomer. I'm not a millennial.
I fight for it, but it's hard. I like Harry Potter. That's something that millennials like.
Yeah. Okay.
That's tough. I'm not giving that up.
You can't get that stink off. Yeah.
No.
All right. Well, hold that thought because I'll go back to you as a whatever you are, as a cusp in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
This is the part of the show where we talk about the news in Star Trek, in the world of Star Trek. And I just want to do a quick follow-up on some of the stories that we discovered last week, one in particular. We talked last week about the negotiations that Paramount has entered into with Skydance Media about a possible merger. And it's been speculated by industry insiders that Paramount Plus, the streaming service, might be a casualty of the merger, as though Paramount Plus has grown in its lifetime and definitely gotten more subscribers. It has yet to turn a profit. That's kind of an issue with some of these streaming services. But the New York Times reported this week that Skydance is exploring the option of, quote, supercharging the service by making it more efficient and cutting better deals with data providers. Part of that process could involve a merger with another streaming service. And Bloomberg reported this week that options like Peacock or Max have all been considered as potential merging partners. This is in addition to the talk from earlier this year about Paramount possibly, they were talking to Comcast about merging with Peacock. Nothing came of that, but something like that is still on the table. The world of streaming is a volatile one currently, to say the least, and it's unknown how a merger might affect staffing at either service. But we do know that the Showtime streaming service will be shutting down at the end of April. This is less than a year after the introduction of the Paramount Plus with Showtime service that was introduced in June of 2023 that made Showtime programming available on the Paramount Plus service. So Showtime's standalone apps will be shuttered on April 30th of this year. So again, I mean, if you're working in streaming, you're kind of like, oh, I hope we merge with a good company and I get to keep my job. As a late millennial or a cusp, Harry Potter loving, whatever you are, what streaming services do you watch?
Um, let's think. I would say lately I have been watching a lot of Netflix. If you asked me last year, I would have said Max, but
Yeah.
this year I've been watching. Well, obviously I was joking last week about how I like Formula One now. They have a documentary series called Drive to Survive about Formula One.
Yes.
Um, so I've been watching that a lot. I've been rewatching Dairy Girls while I work, and I've been rewatching Bridgerton because there's a new season of Bridgerton coming out.
Right. Right.
However, they did get me with because I'm on my dad's Netflix,
Okay. All
and
right.
so I sent him like $40, and I so that to like add a household, and I
Yeah.
was sent him like $40, and I was like, exit in June because June is when the second half of the Bridgerton season comes out, and
Okay.
I was
All
like, we're
right.
done in June.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna I'm gonna be canceling my Disney Plus. I haven't watched the second season of Loki yet, which, if you know me, like is crazy.
Well, yeah.
Um, and but they're just not offering me anything. And what's crazy is that I don't watch Marvel movies anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't think they would ever lose me
Yeah.
because
I
I'm
don't
so
either.
happy with I'm like, let's watch, you know, JJ Trek. Like I am so happy with like, let's watch the Avengers, like 2012.
Yeah.
It's not that hard to please me. Um,
Yeah, they're competing with
but
themselves in terms of, especially like when some of the older movies are better and they release new movies, and you're like, I could watch the Marvels, or I could just watch Captain Marvel, or I could just watch the Avengers or something like that. So,
Well, yeah, and some of it I do think is like nostalgia because I watched the Avengers for the first time when I was like 14 or whatever, like like just getting ready to be like a little like feral fangirl. And and I wish that I could go back in time and tell me at 14, like, guess what? When you're an adult, there's going to be a Loki show. It's going to be just about him, and you're going to watch it. And I would have gone like bonkers.
right, yeah.
Um, and I do like that show. I think it's very good. But they've just lost me.
Well, there's no. I mean, they couldn't keep anybody forever, could they? I think
Mm,
that they're cognizant of that, and I think that most streaming services are aware that people are going to drop in and drop out. I think that's just the way that, well, your generation would do it. When I sign up for
well, yeah, I
something,
was going to ask you, what do you think? Is there a generational divide between
there might
streaming
be,
services?
there might. When I sign up for something, I really feel like I'm going to do that forever. And then if
Hmm.
you get to a point where it's like there's nothing good, I look for like that one good thing. Well, I'm still going to watch. I'll just Breaking Bad. I'll pick a show or
Yeah.
something like because I want to see that again. But I've got to the point where it's like cancel, cancel, cancel because there is no value in remaining a customer. At this point, they expect people to drop in and drop out. So it's not like you get a discount because you are a longstanding customer or something like that.
Yeah.
I have Netflix, but I don't pay for Netflix because I got it with my phone uh,
Oh,
bill thing. So if I didn't have that, I probably wouldn't, pay for it. And I've tried to think of any services that I am undyingly committed to, and I don't think there are any. I've thought about when Max was doing I know this was a huge disaster, but when Max was doing their theatrical releases, like on Max, that was great because I could watch all the Warner Brothers movies and I watched them a couple times and I kept paying every month. But they don't do that anymore, and they're getting rid of content, like a lot of services are, and so it's the Wild West out there.
well, and it also feels like if because historically I've had pretty much every streaming service because obviously my dad is a huge nerd,
Yeah.
and so he's like, we have everything, and Scott, he won't, if he sees an ad, he beep, 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 is paying $6 more a month.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so I've been very spoiled. I am now, as a 26-year-old, I do pay, I pay for Disney Plus and Max.
Mm.
um but it's like, if the streaming services had more of the things that I want to watch, but lately it's like I see a movie that I want to watch and it comes out and then it never goes to streaming. I'm desperate to watch Taika Waititi's latest movie.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember. I think it's called like Lion's Roar or something.
Is it
It's not
the
streaming
soccer one?
anywhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, it's not streaming anywhere. I
Oh,
can't find
rugby.
it.
Yeah.
I'm desperate to watch it. Um, and I so far have been refusing to pirate it because that feels wrong when it's like a smaller budget film that he's produced. Like I would pay like $20 to rent that movie, but I can't.
Just write a check right to him.
Should I fan that? I put it in the mail.
Letithi
Send
with
it to
two
him?
eyes.
Like,
Yeah.
love you, King. Pirated the movie. Here's your check.
Give half to Rita. Yeah. Yeah, hopefully Paramount doesn't get caught up in this. I think Paramount's got a good strategy, or they generally do, in that, when they deliver the 39 weeks of Trek or whatever it is, then you're like, guess I'm a Paramount Plus customer for 39 weeks because I want to see my Trek. But even they can't keep it up, the whole time. So, we'll see.
Yeah.
I just hope that
Well,
people...
and even now it's like the classic Trek movies have moved off of Paramount. So
yeah, when you let that happen, I don't know.
Well, I have to go to Max to watch Star Trek 4? Like,
yeah. I think it's the difference. I think it's the difference. Well, I think there's when things like that happen, I think there's a lot of factors that are involved. But I think in this case, it is we could either pay ourselves or somebody else could pay us. And it's nice to pay ourselves, but we want to make money. And so if you go, well, the numbers are a little down on the older films because people are watching the newer stuff, we can, rent out the older films to whatever service they're on now. And then we get money for that. And we need the money to make the sheet look better. So I think that's what's going on there. But yeah, I mean, for myself, like there's a lot of like old things that I would like to watch that, even I, as old as I am, missed. I don't have a very good memory, if at all, of like the original Battlestar Galactica. There's old shows like, Space 1999 and UFO and things like that I'd like to watch. And if I can find them on a weird service or on Tubi or something, like I'll do it. But if somebody just took all that old man sci-fi stuff and put it together in one thing, I would probably, I'd do $7 a month for that or $8 a month for that. So,
yeah.
So, the future looms for streaming services, but, we'll see.
Well, and respectfully to Paramount Plus, I've been waiting for a merger because their interface is abominable.
Yeah.
And the app doesn't work. I'm shocked that it hasn't frozen yet this, like, Star Trek season.
Yeah, it's not, I remember the early days, like, it was really bad in the early days. It's not that bad, but it's not great, though.
Yeah.
So
I would love like a Netflix type interface, a Max type interface.
Yeah.
For them.
Good luck to streaming services in the future, and of course, in the future we'll have more information if it's Trek related as far as this goes. But let's talk about the episode. We've just seen the 3rd episode of the 5th season of Star Trek Discovery, an episode titled Jinaal, and we're here to break it down for you. But first, as always, a warning: we're entering the spoiler zone, listeners. So be warned. We're glad you decided to join us, but spoilers are incoming. The official synopsis for Jinaal is, on Trill, Burnham, Booker, and Culber must pass a dangerous test to prove themselves worthy of the next clue. Adira reconnects with Gray, and Saru's first day as ambassador is complicated by his engagement to Tarina. This episode is written by Kyle Jarrow and Lauren Wilkinson and directed by Andy Armaganian. All of whom I believe are relative newcomers to the Trek universe, so welcome. There was no start date for this episode, but there's a calendar date. They say 3191 a couple times, so that's the year that we're in. There's no real trivia other than to say the Ziantara ritual that we see in the episode, where a Trill host is able to interact with their symbiote's previous hosts, was last seen in the 1995 3rd season DS9 episode, Facets. And I don't know if you remember that episode. That's a pretty good episode.
Which, remind me.
It's the one where, for whatever reason, Dax has got to do this Ziantara ritual, and so she chooses, amongst the crew, her friends to embody her previous hosts. And
yeah.
So that was a big episode for Chase Masterson, who is playing, Amity Dax the dancer. All the other characters. It's one of those great Star Trek tropes where, like, hey, we get to play a different character this week. I'm going to be somebody else.
Yeah.
I mean, it was cool to see Dr. Culber get to do that in this episode. Let's just leap right in. What'd you think about the episode, Jinaal?
I thought it was alright. I wasn't super taken with it. I think it was solid. I didn't really have any issues with it.
Yeah.
Although I did think the whole time I was like, that guy is going to run off
Yeah.
with Dr. Culver's body.
Right. Yeah.
He is gone, dude.
They're
Why
gonna
are you letting him out?
they're gonna find him in a space disco somewhere. Just like,
Yeah.
no, no, come
I
back, come
also
back.
I also kind of forgot about Gray, and I forgot how good those actors are at doing like the adolescent weird tension.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are so good together.
Let's talk about it. Do you think that this is a closer for that's a wrap on Gray, or we'll see Gray again?
A little bit I do. I'm not sure. I follow Ian on TikTok and I
Mm-hmm.
know that I don't remember Ian's pronouns. I know that they're in school. So I don't know if they're sort of focusing on other things or if like whatever happens to Gray happens.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think certainly given the lack of Gray in the show, I'm not surprised that they're like, well, we should probably break these guys up. Um, but maybe we'll get some kind of, given that it's the last season,
Yeah.
I have a hard time thinking that what we saw today is like curtains.
Yeah. I keep this isn't really that kind of show, but I keep worrying about, are we setting anybody up to take out, to raise the tension? And we were talking last week about Saru getting engaged, and it's like, you don't have him die before he gets engaged. You have him get killed at the wedding. That's how
Yeah.
you do a melodrama, right?
Or right after the wedding. Yeah,
So I'm a
that's
little
what I was
worried
thinking.
about. I'm actually more worried about Tarina than I am about about
Well,
Saru.
yeah, because with the rebels, the
Yeah,
Vulcan, or what are they called? Perfectionists, purists,
the purists. Yeah, yeah,
which I do love. We all know that I love a little Vulcan B story, so
maybe they
I'm
go
living.
after, as the president. Maybe they go after her, and then Saru jumps in front, and it goes,
Stop.
and he's so long, he just keeps. The guy's like machine gunning, and he's like, oh, just going down his body. No,
Talk
he's
about
8 feet tall.
Marvel. It's
He's very
like
tall. Is what I'm
yeah.
saying. um,
Oh.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm a little worried about that. And then, like, having them break up, it's like, it's sad that they broke up, but I'm like, maybe Gray's safe now because they won't, have another significant other to kill off. Um,
Yeah.
I, I'm,
Somebody's gonna die, right? It's last season. They're gonna kill somebody, don't you think?
you know, I mean, I was thinking about this.
Mm-hmm.
TNG and a TOS, I guess, are the only,
Sure.
every single, did we talk about this last week? Every other finale has had, if not an outright death, a great loss, right? Like nobody,
Mm,
uh, no show gets out without having some like, oh my God, they're gone.
yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if they'll do that. I'm right with you. I like this episode, but I can't really defend it from just sort of being, another brick in the wall. Like it was kind of just getting things done. And if there was an
Mm-hmm.
overarching theme of the episode, it was, interpersonal relationships and communication. I
Mm-hmm.
thought I thought it was a little bit overboard, although very Discovery, to have Gray give a big speech over a montage that shows all of our characters and the resolution of their plots. That's
And
very
the real lesson we learned was the
yes,
friends along the
that's
way.
right. It was the little tadpole swimming in the hot tub along the way. Um,
Don't you want to get in there?
yeah, it's always
Don't
like,
you want to get in there?
if I ever meet Terry Farrell, and it's on my list, I will someday. I want to ask her
Yeah.
about the hot tubs in that one episode where they get
Don't you
into
want to get
things.
in
Like, wasn't
there?
it
Oh,
gross? And the water's all white, and it's like, ugh.
no, it reminds me of like Iceland when you see those pictures of the hot springs in
Oh
Iceland.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm like, ooh, I want to get in there. My cat is starting to make a stink. I don't know if you can hear him.
That's okay. We got
Okay,
a guest on the
just so we
show.
all know. Yeah.
But yeah, so it was solid. I have no complaints, but at the same time, my hair wasn't set on fire. I
Hmm.
I let's talk about Rayner, because I've only got a couple things to say, and then we can move on.
Sure.
So he was brought on, and he's a mean guy, and he's a badass, and he's coming onto the cuddliest ship in the fleet. I didn't think that they were immediately going to like have him pair him up with Tilly and be like, "Why are you a Mr. Grumpy Gus? Come on," you know. But they did that like immediately, and I
Yeah.
guess I should have expected it. But I thought
I mean, they
maybe,
only have the one season with him.
yeah, I thought we would get a little more juice out of him being like ordering somebody to their death, you know, or something like close the hatch,
Yeah.
or maybe we'll get that in the future. But it made me think of the fact that remember guest stars.
Tell me about them.
Trek used to be lousy with guest stars. This
Yeah, for
week,
real.
Farmer Hoggett is going to come in and he's going to yell at
And
somebody.
he's the same guest star from last season.
Yeah, or he's
Just
just
in
a
different
different.
makeup.
Yeah, he's a different guy, different makeup. And it was like you'd have this like revolving door, this cavalcade of like TV star. Oh, David Ogden
Hmm.
Stiers is here. I don't know if we don't get that anymore because of the more long movie version of the shows that we get, in the 21st century, or
Hmm.
if they're just so busy paying Reese and Bryce and all the new people.
I was gonna say it's
They've
not the
got
budget.
they've got so many people on staff, it's not in the budget. I'm not sure, but I kind of missed that. And I think that Rayner would have been like a good one-off kind of guy.
Oh yeah.
But trying to fit him.
Who would if he was gonna be a guest star? Would you have him be played by a different actor? Like, would you want it to be sort of like a stunt cast?
Well, I'd have him be played by Jason Isaacs, and we did that. It was the first season of Discovery. Um, but I'm not sure how we're going to keep from repeating a lot of the Lorca bits. Oh, is Lorca going to come back? Lorca's never coming back.
God, I forgot about him. I was thinking about the first. Remember that? You know what I've been thinking about in watching now the first couple episodes of the last season of Disco?
What?
That first episode, or maybe it's the second episode, where she gets on the ship for the first time and they're like, Black Alert. And we'd never heard Black Alert before. And Burnham is like, what's going on? Until he's like, it's none of your business.
Right. Yeah. Don't even worry about it.
Oh, I want to miss them. When
Yeah.
it's off the air, I want to miss Disco.
Well, we're not done yet, but I'm gonna miss
No,
him
we
too.
got a lot. We got a lot left.
So they go to Trill. They've got to do the whole thing.
Hmm.
They're really using, and I think they're using it well, but they're really using that volume. Uh, when they were doing the all the Trill scenes, there wasn't even a cave set like there was the last time they went to Trill. They're all standing on this like thing, around where the old lady and Culber are. And in the background, there's all this stuff, and they're doing
Hmm.
like these kind of turning shots, and it's like, they're in the Boba Fett
Yeah.
thing. They're in the volume.
Hmm.
Yeah. It
Hmm.
looks great, but
It
you can
does look great.
see from a production point of view, you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. I see what they're doing there.
Yeah.
Um, don't you think that, I didn't like the old lady. Sorry, old lady.
No,
You're out.
but
That,
she didn't even do anything.
right. But that would have been a guest star in old Star Trek. We would have got,
The lady that played Mags in Catching Fire.
yeah. Oh, yeah, right. Or like a Maggie Smith, would come out. Give
Yeah.
this some gravitas.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so we do the thing, and they put Jinaal Bix into Culber, and he gets to sort of stretch his legs a little bit. Um,
Hmm.
what did you? So I want to compliment, but also kind of ding the writing. I want to
Okay.
I want to
Okay.
compliment the writing in specific, but ding it in the general.
Sure.
Because in the general, we're just doing another treasure hunt, and
Hmm.
but I like the fact in the singular that they anticipated that the audience would be like, if you're talking to a guy who was there 800 years ago and helped hide the thing, can't they just go, tell us where the thing is? Because and Burnham says that. She's like, okay, la clues. Can you just tell us where the thing is and we'll just go get
Yeah.
it? And he's like, that's not how this works. And I
Yeah.
hope that we get to see in the future, and I don't know how we'll do it. Maybe there'll be another long-lived
Hmm.
alien, or maybe like Data or an android, somebody who was there before. I hope they meet more of these scientists and they continue to communicate to the crew the wonder and the danger of this thing.
Yeah.
Because I think that came across really well. Like, why would they hide this? Well, it's dangerous. But like the Culber guy's like, this is a big deal. Like this thing can like create life, destroy, resurrect people. It can do all this stuff, and we can't just let this thing out. It sounds a lot like Genesis. I think we talked about that before,
Mm.
right? I never got the impression that the smoothhead aliens had some amazing technology because they also were humanoid. I thought that maybe their DNA was just gave rise to our DNA, but they've turned it into this thing where it's like they've got some machine that they can crank up and it's going to do all kinds of stuff. So, or maybe the whole thing's a red herring. Maybe it's just they find a petri dish and they're like, oh, that's it. Okay, it's just DNA. Just DNA. Makes sense. The greatest machinery the universe has ever created.
That'd be funny.
Tig Notaro's back.
Yeah.
And not in any basically the way they use her now, which is I got some rumpled wisdom for you.
Yeah. Just
But I love the fact that she did pick up on, she's like, oh man, that's bad. He's like, what? Oh, they're gonna break up. That's where she's going to break up. But that's hey, the world is the way it is. Everybody's got to go through it. So
also, I like Stamets is like we've only seen him. Now you correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like we've only seen him be like these wholesome like semi-adoptive father vibes.
Yeah,
but like
space dad.
Stamets is like I don't really see him as being like super tuned in. Like what we saw of him today is like how I would expect him to be.
Yeah.
Where he's just like, what do you mean? That's fine.
Yeah, right. I'm working on this Romulan tricorder. I got a lot on my mind.
I'm doing something.
Yeah, that's why he's a good pairing with Culber, because Culber's like, all right, honey, put the tricorder down. We got to talk to the kid here. Yeah. I have a question for you. Say the word that's spelled Poem.
Poem?
Okay. Why does Michael Burnham say poem? Why does she say it like that?
I never know. I haven't noticed.
Is that a Vulcan dialectical thing or something?
Poem?
Because she says he must know the answer about the poem. She just always says it like that.
A little stink on it.
Yeah, she put some mustard on it.
Just have a little fun.
It's not just a poem; it's a poem.
Are they still writing poems in the? Okay.
Yeah, that threw me off a little bit. What else? Shouts out to Gray for taking a break from working the grill or whatever they were doing to
robes, but the guns are out.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That was so TOS. I was like, oh, this is sick.
When your SO comes in and you're at work and it's like, oh, okay, I got 15-minute break. I can break up with them in that time. I can get this done.
This and probably
yeah. It's like
Gray's like, I'm not gonna get this. They're not coming back to Trill again ever. I'm not gonna get this chance again.
Open relationship? No? Okay, no relationship. All right, we got it. Oh, I'm back on. So okay, yeah. What else? If you had to describe yourself in 20 words to an angry executive officer, what would you say?
That's so funny. I think I honestly would be like, oh, I like in my free time. I think I guess I watch Star Trek, and I like to do this, and I'm watching like. I feel like I never because I was thinking about that because I was like, I don't think I would say anything that would give him a way to analyze me, like Linus was like, I've laid 3 hatches of eggs. I was like, I think I would be like
Linus's little chatterbox.
Yeah. I think I'd be like, oh, I like to watch Star Trek. Do you like Star Trek? Do you like I watched Formula One. Like I think I'd be like 2 things.
Formula One, yeah.
Yeah, I would say 2 things. I've liked Formula One for approximately a month and a half, and I think it would make the cut. Like I would just because I would just be like, because when people ask me that question, I feel like I'm just like, oh, I'm from Minnesota. I went to a really hippie high school. Got my degree in film. I like Star Trek.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
What Raynor needs, everybody has the personal transporters and pops in and out. He needs a button that like controls their personal teleporters. So when they get to 20 words, you just go boop, and they just disappear.
Done.
Show up in their bathroom. Speaking of transporters, I liked the fact that, and again, I think that this is also smart writing. I know that we're going to go on with Starfleet Academy and we'll continue in the 32nd century. And I think that that's good that they keep that, foothold, that sort of beachhead in a new kind of world or a new era. but they're still kind of getting over the growing pains of writing for this new era. But this episode did it really well because the whole time they were walking to the thing, and at first, Jinaal says, "Oh, transporters, let's walk. I want to walk." So you got that. Then they got the problem with the invisible cicadas, and I'm like,
bugs.
and I'm like, why don't they just like transport past them and do the thing?
That's what I was thinking.
But then they started doing that because the thing was shooting at them. And so they had to like split up, and then they were doing cool things where he's like, over here, and they'd go over there, and he'd like jump away, or at one point Michael's too focused and she's gonna get shot in the back, and so he like teleports in and then like grabs her and goes by. It's like, oh, that's cool. That's cool things.
I would have failed that test.
The test about the thing?
Yeah.
I would have stayed there all night. I would have stayed there all night.
I love a bug and I love a little critter as much as the next guy. But if I'm already basically in the nest with the eggs, I'm gonna try to do what I came to do very fast before leaving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like, well, I guess we just can't do it because there's a bug in the way.
Right. Yeah, as a video game player, I would have been like pushing on the thing and like looking around the rock and trying to turn it.
Yeah.
I would have been Bug Chow.
Yeah.
We get another. Can we have one full episode with Saru and Tarina? Because again, we get another. Oh, well, maybe we won't get married. 5 minutes later, I'm sorry. And then everything's fine
again. The look on Saru's face when he was talking to her and he went was so funny.
Yeah.
Doug Jones is such a genius.
He's got a lot of the latex faces on Discovery, I think, don't do the actors any favors, but he knows his way around that one really well.
He's able to do it.
Yeah. And when he's at the meeting and doing the thing with the people, and then they make the vote and he kind of looks at her, he's like it's like, yeah, hey, keep it down, buddy, you can't show. Seems like there's some.
He's like,
yeah, I think this prosecutor is sleeping with this DA.
The president is flirting with somebody on the council.
Right. Wait a minute. Also,
God, I just love her weird little assistant dude.
Yeah.
He's like, maybe you shouldn't announce your engagement because there's rebels and it could ruin her political career. I was like, I love it.
He may come back and he may end up being, a bad guy. But I like the fact that he was coded as a bad guy, but he was just a guy who was actually bringing some good advice. And we don't know his life and we don't see him day to day, but he was like, he was pissed in this situation. He's like, you were going to screw this whole thing up. And if you just met somebody on the worst day of their life, you'd think, what an asshole. He's probably fine. But I like the fact that he was like, what are you doing? Knock it off.
And I love Saru, who's knows how to handle a Vulcan now.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not really understanding your point, actually.
Right. Yeah. I know you have some diagrams. Let's see those.
Yeah.
Does Discovery have a Ferengi bartender? Because I think that's just racist at this point, right?
I didn't spot, was it?
I think the guy was pouring the drink for Tilly, had big ears, and it was like, I think this is a Ferengi. Not all Ferengis are bartenders. Come on.
But it's so profitable.
Yeah.
It's if you're successful, it can be so profitable.
Well, if they're a Federation.
It's probably not on a starship, though. Maybe they have a contract.
Yeah.
With Starfleet.
Oh, no. That's you're making it worse.
The bars, when there's a Starbucks inside of a Target?
Yeah.
It's like that, but it's like the Ferengi are sending bartenders.
Well,
so they're paying for, you think that this is a moneyless society? No, they're paying money. They're handing latinum over, cold hard latinum to the Ferengi at the bar.
I'm tweeting that. I'll give you credit. Ferengnar is supposed to be a Federation member world, so they'd better have an exchange economy. But yeah, I kind of think that the Ferengi in the Federation is kind of like a Starbucks and Target. I think that's perfect. Oh man. Anything else? At the end, Do you think the lady died? The old lady?
Oh yeah.
Because they don't show it, but they're having this big ceremony where Gray is given this talk about
Yeah.
beginnings and
She was
endings,
like, I want to rest.
and the tadpole swims away, and it's like, oh, she died.
Yeah. Wasn't that her? Yeah.
But they didn't
Was
show
that
her.
her
They didn't show her like
symbiote?
laying down or anything. Like we didn't see the body.
Maybe they were like, because you know what the problem is with the symbiote scenes is that it's icky.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I
So
want to
maybe
hear
they were
this.
like,
I want to hear
let's
this
spare them.
flowery speech, what Gray's talking about. And the thing about life is that, and then like there's worms coming out of this old lady's
Yeah.
stomach. Yeah.
It's gross. And I remember vividly the first time that I saw that, I think it's the episode of Deep Space Nine where you see Dax getting the symbiote and the other Dax kicking it.
It's a
And then
pilot.
I
Yeah.
feel like that same day as a child is when my mom was like, let's try mushrooms for the first time in Ella's life. She's a picky eater as a child. She'll like these. And I was like, it's just like what said in the TV.
Okay. When you said let's try mushrooms, I was like, wait, that sounds different. But yeah.
Not that kind, the regular kind. The
Yeah.
Hobbit kind, you know.
Look, it's a
And
beautiful.
also the texture of a mushroom after you just watch that scene of Dax.
Yeah.
No good.
It's a
No
beautiful
good.
process, but not for everybody. Yeah. And then, of course, we have one click flash at the end of the episode. This is what you get when you make everybody wear hoods. Maul has snuck in. We have a dye job on the roster. And she has planted something on Adira, a tracker or something like that. So they're still in this game. I like how Book's like, I know she's bad, but I can fix her.
I know. I'm like, please, we've done this already.
Yeah.
This last season, he was a terrorist. He's gonna. Oh,
He's gonna.
they're not gonna. Are they gonna make up?
He's gonna try to fix her.
Do you think they're gonna? That they're gonna be together in the end?
Oh, them?
Book and well, that too. I meant Book and Michael.
I do think that they'll probably. Well, here's the thing. I feel like every time we set one of these up, it's a thing where it's like, oh, now I'm redeemed, but like Darth Vader, I'm gonna die. I don't get to stick around. They did that with
Maybe it will be
the
both.
thing guy with the thing on his head. They did that with. Well, they didn't really do it with the Wicked Queen of the Emerald chain. Like they gave her near the end of her character, we got more depth, and it's like, okay, I kind of understand her. Then she just went nuts, and they had to kick her into a computer and kill her. So I do think that we will push it to the point where she has a chance at redemption, and I think maybe she'll take it, but then probably die.
What about the boyfriend?
I think he's just bad.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we've already got one latex face that we can empathize with, and that's Saru. And so any other
They
latex face,
also
we're just
have
gonna...
toxic vibes.
Oh,
And she was like, "All we have is we have each other."
yeah, right,
That's
yeah,
enough. I was
yeah.
like, get out of here!
But she's gaslighting him. What about there's your twist?
Ooh, feminism.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. We got to leave something for Book to fix.
Oh, man.
That's it for me. I think that's all I had. Any other thoughts about the episode?
No, I mean, I felt like it was pretty. There wasn't a ton to dissect.
Yeah. It was straightforward, but it was
Yeah.
like you said, it was solid, I thought.
Oh yeah, no complaints.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, great. I think that's it for our show this week. So thanks for joining us, listeners. And if you like what you hear, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at EISTPOD for updates and to get notified when new episodes of our show come out. You can tweet to us on the show by using the hashtag Discoverage or email us at EISTPOD@gmail.com. And while you're on the internet, why not head to your listening platform of choice and subscribe to our show feed at Enterprising Individuals. Give us a rating and a review because it really helps us out. And if you want to help the show grow, stop by our Patreon page at patreon.com/EISTPOD. And as always, if you like the show, tell a friend. Discoverage will return next week on February 18th at 8 p.m. for the 4th episode of Discovery's 5th season. It's an episode... April? Oh, yeah. We are not going back in time.
February.
It'll be April 18th. It's an episode entitled Face the Strange. Now, we don't know anything about the episode, but I'm guessing there'll be some changes in that episode. It's a David Bowie joke. We'll be here next Thursday to cover it, going live at 8 p.m. Central once again. Don't forget to hit the heart and the bell icon below the video, whether you're on Twitch or YouTube, so you get notified when we're live and broadcasting. Ella, thanks as always for joining me to talk about tonight's episode of Discovery, and remind people where they can find you online.
Thank you. My handle on Twitter or X is Gondor Gold, so you can follow me there.
And check out Generations Geek at generationsgeek.com. That's correct. Generationsgeek.com. Got the URL. Okay. And then I'm at KA1IBAN on Twitter. You can find all of the shows on the Just Enough Trope network at justenougghtrope.com or at justenougghtrope on Twitter. And that is it for us. Thanks for listening. We are signing off. This is Aaron for Ella saying, live long and prosper.